We are proud to be sponsored by Kiteworks, a secure content platform for CMMC compliance. Kiteworks is FedRAMP Moderate authorized and helps accelerate your path to CMMC 2.0 compliance. Did you know Kiteworks puts defense contractors on the fastest path to meeting CMMC 2.0 requirements, leveraging the same zero trust framework guidance used for federal requirements? Kiteworks supports nearly 90% of the security requirements for CMMC 2.0 Level 3. This can drastically reduce the effort and costs associated with obtaining CMMC 2.0 authorization. What's really cool to us is Kiteworks has an ongoing bounty program and regular penetration testing to minimize vulnerabilities along with one-click appliance updates. Kiteworks provides unparalleled ease of use with its intuitive web UI, mobile apps, and even Outlook integration. This user-friendly experience avoids productivity disruptions during your CMMC 2.0 implementation. Accelerate your CMMC 2.0 compliance and address federal zero trust requirements with Kiteworks' universal, secure file sharing platform made for defense contractors. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. That's kiteworks.com to get started today. Hey, Cybercrime Junkies, this is your host, David Morrow. Today we're going to be talking about a sensitive subject, war. We're going to cover an exclusive insider view of the Ukrainian war from a cybersecurity perspective. In the episode, we will speak with a white hat security consultant and penetration tester. He was born, raised, and is today living directly in the middle of the Russian war conflict in the Ukraine. He was kind enough and has agreed to speak with us on certain subjects, but not everything because it is deeply personal. He and his family have been forced to relocate, find shelter and safety, and there are constant bombardments and periodic internet and electrical outages. He is a volunteer with the cybersecurity forces, helping the Ukrainians both defend their vital infrastructure and supply chain, but also to help correct the false propaganda being disseminated upon the Ukrainians by Russian cyber attacks and Russian online propaganda efforts. This is his story. We introduce you to Andriy Shipkin. Here is a short history of where we are today and where we came from, for context. Russia launched its war on the Ukraine on February 24th, 2022. But Russian cyber attacks against the Ukrainians have persisted ever since Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea back in 2014, and those intensified just before the 2022 invasion. Over this period, Ukraine's public energy, media, financial, business, and nonprofit sectors have suffered the most. Even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February, several significant attacks occurred that many experts are linking to Russia. Specifically, just before it, on January 19th, the Russian Advanced Persistent Threat, APT, called Gamaradan, also known as Primitive Bear, attempted to compromise a Western government entity in the Ukraine. Cyber espionage appears to be the main goal of the group, which has been active since 2013. And unlike most APTs, most advanced persistent threats, Gamaradan broadly targeted all users all over the globe, in addition to also focusing on certain victims, especially Ukrainian organizations. And it appears to provide services for other advanced persistent threat groups. Think of state-sponsored groups. For example, the Invisimol threat group has attacked select systems that the Gamaradan had earlier compromised and fingerprinted. So there were a lot of reactions to this January attack. Russia denied the allegations by the Ukraine that it was linked to any of these cyber attacks. The Ukrainian government institutions such as the Center for Strategic Communications and Information Security and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs suggested that the Russian Federation was the perpetrator of the attack, noting that this would not be the first time that Russia has attacked Ukraine. International organizations also reacted. The European Union's High Representative Josep Borrell said of the source of the attack, one can very well imagine with a certain probability or with a margin of error where it came from. The Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, announced that the organization would increase its coordination with Ukraine on cyber defense in the face of potential additional cyber attacks. NATO also announced that it would sign an agreement granting Ukraine access to its malware information sharing platform. Since February 24th, Russian cyber attacks have been nonstop, blocking the distribution of medicine, food, and relief supplies, preventing access to basic services. It's involved data theft and disinformation, including through deep fake technology. If you want to learn more about what deep fake does, go check out our deep fake episode. It's earlier on. Tactics the Russians have been using allegedly involve phishing emails, distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS, which means they knock things offline by flooding sites and applications with overwhelming amounts of information and inquiries, and also using data wiper malware, as well as establishing backdoors to gain access later, surveillance software, and information stealers. To counterattack, the EU, the United States of America, and NATO-led initiatives have been carried out with the aim of neutralizing certain cyber attacks and protecting essential infrastructure. This bears in mind at what point is it about stealing data, and at what point does it involve military action through a digital form. The EU has activated its Cyber Rapid Response Teams, a project under Permanent Structured Cooperation, PESCO, P-E-S-C-O, for those that are aware of it, in the area of security and defense policy to support Ukraine's cyber defense. Given Russia's extensive history of cyber warfare in Ukraine, it seemed very likely among experts globally that their cyber attacks would play a major role in Russia's war against the Ukraine, and potentially against some of Ukraine's supporters, including NATO member states, which is us here in the United States, Canada, North America, Australia, etc. But that's largely not what happened. As Susan Landau wrote in a September 30th, 2022 piece in Lawfare, and we'll have links in the show notes, but go check out the detailed research that they did and the interviews that they conducted at Lawfare. It's a really insightful, objective blog. And to lead into this interview that you're about to hear, and from a high level, the cyber attacks that Russia has executed since the start of its war against Ukraine are perhaps more accurately described through Susan Landau's article and through C.N. Martin in Lawfare as merely cyber harassment, since they've failed utterly to occur at the strength most of the world anticipated. From our view at a high level, Russia's physical war attacks on both innocent civilians, their torture, rape, and destruction has been a visual trauma etched on our minds for the rest of our lives, all playing out on primetime television, YouTube, and other platforms right before our eyes. But their ability and efforts to destroy the reconstruction of the Ukraine, the defense of the Ukraine, and the cyber warfare battles with the Ukraine have essentially failed. Tanks stuck in the mud for 200 miles long with soldiers abandoning them. We all saw that live online. Their cyber efforts have been similarly thwarted, and Ukrainians have been a powerful defender of their children, women, and elderly when it comes to cyber warfare, largely thanks to the efforts of the thousands of cyber warriors like Andrei Shipkin. This is his story. We now take you inside the Ukraine-Russian war, This discussion was done just a couple weeks ago in October 2022, and we'll bring you alongside an intimate and compelling discussion with our special guest, Andrei Shipkin, in his own words. And after all, this is his story. And now the show. In the studio today, it's a very interesting episode today. I'm joined by my always on time and fantabulous co-host Mark Mosher. Mark, how are you, man?
I'm great, David. Well, you know how the traffic can be around the studio some mornings.
Yes.
So it can be difficult. It can be difficult.
Yeah, we built an island, right? And
the ferry was a little slow this morning to get me over to the island.
Moat with the drawbridge and all that. Yeah, I know how traffic can be, and the parking is just insane downtown Los Angeles where we're at. So we're welcome. We're joined today in the studio by Andrei Spilkin, and I apologize if I butchered your name. I'm the worst with names, and they give me this role. I don't know why, but Andrei, welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Very good. So Andrei, for the listeners, is a cybersecurity expert, a penetration tester, a consultant, as well as a student of cybersecurity, residing in the Ukraine, in the midst of war. And he's been kind enough to sit with us and to explore his and share his stories with us. So Andrei, how are things going in the Ukraine right now? How are things going for you? How are things going for your family, first and foremost?
Right.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Of course, it's hard times in Ukraine, a tough situation, especially in our eastern part. I hope you hear this in the news or so on. But we are safe, and thanks to all defenders and international support.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. And your family is doing well. You guys haven't had anything at least horrifying happen locally, like to your particular family?
It depends, because we have to relocate to the western part, because it's safer.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry to hear what you guys have all been going through. Take us back before the war for a second. You and your family were residing in the eastern part of Ukraine. We've spoken with several people in the Ukraine before the war, and Russia had put soldiers on the border in the past, right? And they really hadn't done anything. And it seemed like there was a common belief that it was saber rattling, or that's what was going to happen this time. But is that kind of what you were seeing on the ground there back then?
Yeah, there was some horrifying information since October 2021, but it was like information, and information war continues since 2014. So we don't, of course, we were anxious about this, and but we hoped that this wouldn't happen. And but anyway, it has happened.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, in your efforts since the war has happened, or the invasion has occurred, can you tell us, not just in terms of cybersecurity and cyber protection, what have you seen your country do to protect its citizens in terms of a cyber defense?
Yeah, um, definitely the huge cyber attack was at January 14. It was on the government organizations, structures, and some critical websites. But uh, after 2014, Ukraine uh, have started to pay a lot of attention to the cyber realm. So we, our special cyber forces and services were ready. And of course, sites were down, but it isn't so much problem. Yeah. And after invasion, so after February 24th, of course, this our Ukrainian media structures and cyber forces start to sharing information, reveal about fake information, start to uh, conquer propaganda and share news and tips to become more secure online.
That's interesting. So, since the invasion in February by by Russia, um, has the public seen what they know is fake propaganda, where Russia takes control over some of the media at times and tries to insert propaganda?
Uh, um, Definitely, we start to um, we have ended these Russian channels or so on since 2014. So it's like more Ukrainian and real media in information around us. But of course, we have internet, so news, and we have seen also fake news, but Ukrainian media do all that they can to protect and spread only the truth and facts.
Excellent. Um, are how has the internet been for the western part of the Ukraine? Has there been internet access for some of the villages and cities that have not been terrorized and attacked? Is there still an ability? I mean, you're able to talk to us, obviously, but in your field. But are there? What is the general public seeing there?
Uh, yeah, as we are in Ukraine have a period of digitalization, so our providers try to cover more and more territory of Ukraine with internet. So we have such a stable system, and even if it's no like router and local internet providers, we also have mobile internet that accessible at around
Through
90.
cell, yeah, through telecom, through cell as well. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah, so the cable providers are constantly rebuilding the infrastructure, and then you also have the telecom, the 4G, 5G, things like that are boasting communications.
Yeah. So we have a good situation with access to internet and television.
That's excellent. That's good. Um, what are you as a student of cybersecurity and a consultant and a penetration tester? What type of things are you working on these days?
Uh, yeah, I try to work mostly in consultant area around digital transformation and spread this cyber wisdom with mindsets and other people, because it's so important.
That's amazing, because that here in the States, our company actually is founded on driving digital transformation for companies, right? Because it's all about, and everybody's in the process of digital transformation. They're all at different levels of the evolution, right? It kind of goes step by step. And in a scenario that you're in, you probably see things from one side of the scale all the way to the other, I would imagine.
Yeah. Of course, I think Ukraine has implemented the experience of other countries that already had a digital society. So, like USA, I know also Estonia, and this area is developed fast in Ukraine.
Yep.
So, can I ask, how are small businesses or smaller organizations that are still, they've stayed open or they've reopened, right, since the fighting has mostly moved east in general, if the news that we see is to be believed, right? How are small businesses operating and dealing with cybersecurity today?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever see a data breach in the news and think, what does this mean for me? Or what should my organization do because of that breach? Well, Cybercrime Junkies, we've got exciting news. We all know stories help spread security awareness. So July 1st, we launched season 5 of our podcast with a fresh, exciting twist. Cyber Flashpoints. These will be your go-to source for short segments. You'll see all the ways that storytelling helps you understand cybersecurity and how a podcast can even help keep businesses safe online. Come join us for season 5 and our new Cyber Flashpoint. Hey, before you go, did you know that over 80% of our YouTube viewers don't subscribe to our channel? What is the deal with that? It's free. We don't sell your data, contact you, or spam you. So do us a very important favor. This really matters to us because it's all about that algorithm. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Cybercrime Junkies Podcast, right there on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and let's make season 5 the best ever.
Yeah, it's a good question. And because we have faced more frequently attacks from Russia, so more and more companies try to educate their staff about even basic rules that can help to protect individual and privacy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how are they doing that? Like in general, what are they developing policies? Are they purchasing a lot of, firewalls, a lot of hardware? I was just curious.
No, I think it's such measures only can be applied to some organizations, but in general, even for personal security, like not to share all information online, applying MFA, be aware about phishing, spam, and so on.
Well, that's interesting. So that raises a question, because we've seen this in times of crisis here in the United States, where when there are issues, think of COVID or think of certain crisis events, right? that's when certain phishing attacks occur with that messaging, right? People are looking for assistance from the government, and so they are contacted with a fish that appears to be from the government about this. Are you seeing things like that?
Yeah, it's one of most recent Russian attacks. They try to catch governmental stuff on such emails with attached Excel or PDF files to compromise their computers. But of course, our cyber emergency response team, state service of special communications, they are aware of this and spread information right in time to be aware.
So that's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, so you guys are fighting a war on two fronts, right? You have the physical war, but then you also have, I mean, groups like are evil and things like that all stemmed from Russia, right? And so you not only have that, because the general research that we've seen is that while you're not supposed to be doing it in Russia, no one's going to stop them so long as they're not attacking Russian organizations, right? And so you guys are fighting two battles, right? You've got the physical battle in real life, which is horrifying, and then you also have the one on the cyber front.
Yeah, of course, and our cyber front is also with cooperation with other response team, and we have adapted the most new experience of other. Also, Ukraine has been added to NATO Cyber Center initiative, and now Ukraine provide information about some attacks, ransomware, phishing to other countries. So it's a collective protection.
So what type of attacks are you guys seeing in general from Russia in terms of cyber? Are they they're phishing attacks?
The phishing, yeah.
Phishing, are they doing any DDoS attacks? Are they taking down sites? We had read and saw some news about that in the beginning. I didn't know if that was as prevalent today as before.
Yeah, it's still prevalent because maybe it's not so hard to do. And of course, I think they are experienced and sophisticated at the APT try to break into and find some information, but in surface it's phishing and DDoS.
Interesting. And then through the phishing, they'll launch any type of attack, right? Remote access Trojans, ransomware, whatever they can do to harm you guys.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what type of things have you been working on? I understand, like the Ukrainian civil defense, and I apologize, I don't know what it's called. What do you guys call? What does your country call your cyber defense organization there?
Well, I think we just IT volunteers who help state organizations to protect and act in response to Russia.
Great. And then do you guys get together? How are you guys communicating with one another without sharing anything? I don't want to disclose anything, But I'm just curious, like, do you guys have methods of communication where you guys can get on video or get on a forum and speak to identify who you need to target or how you need to help defend yourselves?
Yeah, I think it's mostly driven by patriots of Ukraine, like not so coordinated, but activities that complement each other and try to make the most panic and unusual situations there.
Good. That's good. And then how are you, have you guys found yourselves gaining some traction? I know in the physical war, you guys have had a lot of success and a lot of wins. We've recaptured a lot of land. How about in the digital front? Have you guys made some headway in certain areas? Like, what are those areas?
Yeah, of course, we try to protect our information space and with try to disable some YouTube videos and so on where it's fakes and propagandas.
So a lot of it has been to take down a lot of some of the false, the fake news, some of the bad propaganda that's being spread, so that you can get the truth out.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. That's good. That's good to know. What other things have you been working on?
Yeah, as I have said earlier, it's mostly educating and cyber awareness of people.
Are you doing this in groups? How are you going about doing that? I mean, we provide cybersecurity awareness through lunch and learns and events and trade shows and public speaking and podcasts and things like that. How do you do that in the Ukraine right now? Like, how are you helping people learn about how to stay safe?
Mostly it's organizations that provide this service, but of course our governmental organizations spread it to all, and private companies work towards another companies to ensure their specifically protection.
How have you been able to, or let me ask it this way. Have you seen private companies working hand in hand with the government there?
Yeah, I think so, because we have just one goal to win, and
To rebuild?
it's yeah, rebuild and so on.
Good. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
How are you, like in your volunteer efforts and with the military, cyber forces there? Are you guys addressing critical infrastructure? I imagine you guys are addressing critical infrastructure first, and then you're also educating businesses, families, people, individuals.
Yeah, I think we focused critical infrastructure. We're also in focused, so it's protected enough, and it's for governmental structures that have a lot of experience. And we try to educate some people around us with not technical background or special knowledges.
Excellent. What else? What else is happening? What else is going on that has been profound for you? Something that has that's impressed you with how you guys have handled things from a cyber defense standpoint?
Yeah, of course, it's impressive that our structures have been, and the local websites don't go down after DDoS and
Right.
so on. It's impressive work from our special forces in cyberspace.
That's amazing.
That allow internet and communication to go on.
So tell us about your personal experience with penetration testing. Have you walk us through that? Have you been able to um, practice? What are some of the ways that you're learning? Are you doing any of the boot camps or the online training, some of the gamification that's out there, some of the certification training that's out there? There's so many resources. I'm curious how you're learning and developing your own personal skills.
Yeah, definitely there are a lot of resources and a lot of them are free. So it's a huge opportunity to choose off. And also we have learned something in university and something I learned by myself. There are a lot of websites, such favorite like Burpsuit Academy and Try Hack Me, Hack the Box.
Yep.
So Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, things like that, right?
Cyber, there's a lot.
Cybrary, yeah.
Yeah, I have heard, but I don't use it.
Okay. But you are you familiar with, like, have you used Try Hack Me or things like that?
Yeah, for some basic stuff.
Good. That's excellent. What's on your horizon? What are you planning for expanding your experience in your knowledge to be like a better pen tester?
Yes, just keep going at these platforms and always learning from others and be curious about area because it's so interesting in cyber.
That's great. What type of specialty are you wanting to go into? Like, do you want to eventually work
Like
for
red team, red teaming.
Yeah, like work on the red team, or are you more leaning toward blue team for searching for anomalies? Do you want to work for the Ukrainian military one day, work for the cyber defense? Do you want to go into private industry? What are you dreaming of?
Yes, this is a good question. Yeah, I like more about red team, but I think experience in governmental structures will be great because Ukraine already has so much experience, and it is good to learn there.
That's interesting. I would have put money on red teaming too. I kind of thought, because given your scenario, right, given your world experience right now, red teaming seems the most appropriate for you. Yeah, that's good. So, what questions do you have of us, my friend? What can we What can we share with you, or what can we help you guys with?
Okay, I have just a question to think about. It's about what do you think is the most secure messenger, uh, or what do you use mostly in USA?
Well, in the yeah, we're not that secure in the USA. I mean, Mark, what do you? I mean, there's in the US, a lot of people use Facebook Messenger, which is not very secure. In according to people that have much more expertise than me that have told me that.
It depends on really where you need that level of security. A lot of people are using VPNs for a more secure messaging conduit. But then you have to look at other services or other software. Is it encrypted? Is the data encrypted at rest? Is the data encrypted in transit? Exactly. There's several different layers that people may need depending on the sensitivity of the information that they're exchanging through that conduit. So really, it's depends on each organization. But as David said, as a whole, when it comes to secure messaging in the U.S., it's really, really poor for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, and then for dark web communications, there's Telegram, we know, and there's several other versions that are similar to that. And then there's, forums through Tor. But I mean, those tend to be secure, tend not to. The problem, as we found from interviewing a lot of people, is a lot of people don't download the Tor browser correctly, right? And they think that they're anonymous, but they're not, right? Their IP addresses are still exposed, things like that. So it really kind of depends.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Andre. That's a really good question.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the cell phone texting, there's Microsoft Teams, when you can segment and communicate, but none of those are very, very secure in terms of advanced persistent threats, right? I mean, for corporate communication, some of them seem to be okay, but a lot of them, it all kind of depends on who we're trying to keep the information from.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we will, how about if we ask some of the experts on your behalf? And get back to you with probably a really good answer. Because I'm sure they will be like, well, have you tried this? We'll be like, no, read an article about it, haven't tried it. Let's share that with Andre.
Yeah, this will be great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for the transparency. Thank you for the information. We keep you in our prayers and hope you and your family continue to stay safe and wish nothing but the best for you and your country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like us to review or go over, Andre?
No, thank you. It was such a beautiful conversation. Thank you for having me.
Well, this will not be our last time that we speak.
Yep, absolutely.
We will speak again in the future and find out some good, exciting things, some positive news from you, and things that are happening as you guys rebuild and you guys improve things. And we look forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andre.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.
Yeah.
Hi, Cybercrime Junkies. Thanks for listening.
Got a question you want us to address on an episode? Reach out to us at cybercrimejunkies.com. We explore why cybercrime grows daily, how it is funded, productized, and organized, how to protect yourself, and where cybercrime goes to hide. And thanks for being a cybercrime junkie.